Hello everybody and welcome back. Thanks for looking in. Electroplating week. Yes, finally we got some stuff in the tank and I'm hoping that the results are going to be a bit better than this, which was one of my first ones. Let me bring it up. This is a normal rail. You can see that we've got, that was the end because I'm trying vertically to suspend them. Got a bit of nickel on there, and then we got a huge gap and a little bit more and then another gap. Not at all successful. So I decided to alter all the settings. I mean, I read books and I've looked at it, and I think in the end you just got to experiment. So we're going to have a live, well not live, but an unveiling on camera, first I will have seen, of 6 rails I've got in the tank. We've got a standard straight, a long straight and an extra long straight. So we'll see how they look. That's going to be in a minute. Before we get to that, I know we didn't have a clock of the week last week, so just there is a Kundo 400-day clock which I've been working on, just over from the workshop. If any of you are interested, they're excellent things. You know, you wind them up and they should theoretically run for a year or a little bit longer. Setting them up is a bit of a challenge, but by no means impossible. And there's some excellent reference material on the internet, particularly by Mervyn Passmore, so you can identify any clock you might find in your house and learn a bit more about it. I think the real problem is that there's various, and when I say various, I mean many thicknesses of the suspension spring. The rotary pendulum hangs on a suspension spring, and the thickness of that, the tension, I mean, you cannot stress enough how having the incorrect spring can affect the running of the clock. But anyway, that's enough of that. I think we'll get on to these rails. And I'm just going to move the camera, show you my tank, and then we'll hoist them out and see whether we're laughing or crying. So just bear with me while we move the camera. Well, here we are, and there's the tank. And I'll just go through the setup quickly. The electrolyte, I looked up in several books the best way and the best one, and I came to the conclusion I'd start off with a mixture of mainly nickel sulfate with a little nickel chloride and some boric acid. Now this seemed to get universal approval, so I've mixed up 6.5 litres and got it in that tank. Now to power it, I've got a little adjustable power supply. Now it can operate at 1.2 amps across various voltages, and after the failure, which was 12 volts, I've got this set at 6. And down here, with 6 rails in it, it's drawing 0.45 of an amp. So I think without any more messing about, let's have a look and see what we've got. Just bear with me while I get my pliers. Right, let's go for one of the short ones for a start. So let's have a look. I just don't know whether... Yeah. Well, the plating looks pretty good, and I haven't got the gap in the middle. Overall, not bad. It's not terribly thick and a little bit weaker at the top. Okay, let's have a look at a slightly longer rail. Just get this. Whoops, right, there we go. Well, as you can see at the bottom, it's really good, but the plating yet is not brilliant at the top. Now, this could be definitely down to the fact that I've reduced the voltage and the amperage, but it's nice at the bottom. Happy with that. Okay, let's go for a longer one. the excess electrolyte. Yeah, not bad. Now the longer one is more or less the same at both ends. Right. Well, I'm not unhappy. I think what we'll do is, first of all, I've drilled 1.5mm holes in the fish plates to hang them up with, and I have put a spare fish plate on each end just to sort of plate fish plates. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the camera off and I'm going to turn them all round and give them another hour and a half, and I'm also going to increase the voltage slightly and the current. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn each one of those rails round. Let's just quickly look at the others to see whether... Yep, virtual carbon copies. I can see without taking it out of the tank. Right. Last one. Yeah, we're getting some nice plating, but not universal. Okay, so the plan is I'm going to go off camera now. I'm going to turn each of those rails round. I'm going to increase the voltage up slightly from 6 volt. What's the next setting I've got available? I'm going to go to 7.5 volts and I'm going to increase the current by 250 milliamp, bring it up to about 750 milliamp. So while I do that, I'll put the camera off and we'll come back in about an hour and a half and see what the end result is today. Okay, now I know I did say we'd be back in a little while, but I just thought I'd give you a quick update. I have reversed all the rails now, and I've altered the settings, and if I just zoom in, so we've just got the ammeter reading just over 3/4 of an amp. So I'm going to let those have another hour, hour and a half, and let me look at the clock now, 5 to 2. So I think we'll come back about 3:30. Now I'm going to make a bit of use of my time. I'm just going to show you, in anticipation of these rails not looking too bad, a final little bit of a brush up on the rail bases. So I've got a couple of bits and bobs to gather. Then I'm just going to show you what I do to the brown sleeper bases just to give them a little bit of a new look. So I'll move the camera, get my equipment together and just demonstrate what I do to make them look a little bit more presentable. Okay, here we are. Now here's 3 sections that have already just had a light scrub over with a bit of detergent and water. Now I've got 2 different products here, and there's many available. One is a non-silicon furniture polish, and the other is an automotive interior sort of cockpit shine product. The nice thing about the cockpit shine is it smells of apple. And things aren't so good in the workshop at the moment, because I wouldn't be surprised if something's died in my chimney, so it's a welcome change to the air. Anyway, I'm going to use the cockpit shine on the longer. That's nice. Just give it a bit of a brush. Whoops. Turn it over. Goes on quite nicely. Don't want to put too much on. Just wondering whether silicone or non-silicone will be best, but I think this comparison might help. So we've got the cockpit shine there, and then we'll bring these 2 others and we'll use the non-silicone furniture polish. Now immediately the furniture polish is much glossier looking. Now, I hope cross-contamination won't be a problem, but I do only have one brush, so I'll just do the underneaths first. Right, and then, well, they certainly both give the plastic that sort of nearly new look. Right, let's have a look with the glasses. Very similar. Anyway, we'll be back soon to look at the rails. Okay, here we are back at the tank. It's a little bit later than I wanted, than 3:30. 4:10, had a job I had to deal with. So without any messing about, let's get them out. Ah, wow, that is nice. Not bad. Right, this is a short length. Just going to pop that down on a drying pad. Let's keep going. Next short length. Looking very nice. I think we're getting somewhere near with the settings now. Right. Actually, I'll just turn this off. Which is that one? Yep. Okay. Next length. Whoops. Excited. Oh yeah, I'm very happy with these now. We're getting really near to the optimum settings, I think. Look at that. Just put this down on the... Okay. Yeah, I think the increase in the voltage and the current, I think we're getting near to finding the sweet spot. Okay, and the proof, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be the hardest ones, these extra long. There we go. Oh, just get that out. Perfect, yeah, very happy. From one end to the other, let's just see if I can pass it. Considering I've only had a couple of test plates, I think I'm really happy with the setup, and it's definitely going to work. Great, yeah, not bad at all. It isn't quite perfect on this bottom end, but that was the one that was at the top before I reversed it. Now that's the bottom, the second time is looking really nice. So I think we're going to be looking at, for the long ones, something like 1 hour and 3/4 both ways on the settings I've got, because I do not want to overplate them. Right, well, I'm just going off to wash my hands, and then we'll come back and assemble these rails into some bases and have a look and see what we think to the finished article. So just give me a second to go, and I'll dry off the rails, wash my hands, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, hands clean, back at the bench. Right, I'm just going to give the new rails a little squirt of WD-40 now that I've dried off the... Now I know that it's a horrible thing, some people really hate this stuff, but It's great at displacing any moisture. So, we'll assemble, first of all, the smaller ones. Now, looking at this, it's absolutely key, the surface preparation before you start to plate. Now, on one of these rails I was a bit lazy, and I can see that the results aren't as good. I'm also thinking that I might design some sort of special tool with either a scotch pad or some similar type of thing for final finishing of the rails. I mean, the main thing is the tops of the rails feel very good. I mean, there's one little bit there, a slight pit, probably to do with my surface preparations, but considering these are just tests, I'm just happy to be able to know that the plating's going to be successful. I think my next job will be to perfect the cleaning, the final preparation. You know, I'm not worried about the rust removal, that's great, but I think I need some sort of really good final preparation. Right, let's see what we've got. Probably the best one of those I've got. Now, I will say that the finish on the sleepers, I think I prefer the cockpit shine to the furniture polish. I think the furniture polish, I think we've got a little bit too much of a high gloss with a little bit of residual. Just get those rails in there. I hope you can see this on the camera. When I've finished assembling them, we'll take a closer look at them. And finally, let's get this in. Now, there's some of the fish plates, and I mean, they're like brand new, they are. So that's fantastic. So long as I remember to put a fish plate on the end of every rail, a spare, I'm going to build up quite a nice selection of spare fish plates. Just being extra specially careful where I clip in these. So let me just get this in. Right, well, I think that speaks for itself. Let's see if I can just zoom in on those finished rails. And then there's an old one for comparison in the background. Now, I have to say that these have turned out far better than I thought, and as I say, I'm still very early in the testing out of the plating. I don't know what you think, but to me, if I can get my layout built with these reconditioned pieces of Super 4, I don't know whether you can see that if the camera's focusing. Lastly, this one. I'm going to write down those settings because I think they're a good basis. Let's just see if I can. Right, well, thanks for watching. Plenty to think about now. Going to have to work out a plan of action and just start setting out a bit of a plating routine. Maybe, you know, it looks to me like I could probably get 8 rails in my tank at a time. So I'm going to start the procedure. I'm going to select the best rails I've got, the straightest, clean them up and get plating and hopefully add them to the layout. Now I think what I might do is I might first of all do my test layout, so when we run a few engines we can see what the track's going to perform like. So for now I think for straights and curves we're going to be fine. So I think the next project is things like isolating rails, diamond crossings and points. So that will be for another video. So for now, I'm going to say goodbye and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next video.